Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's video is a completely custom, probably one of a kind for me, kitchen island. So I used my CNC machine to cut every one of the parts out. Did not miss the faces, everything I cut out with my CNC machine. And so this whole island is made from maple. So I use maple 4x8 sheets to build the whole thing, and then I trimmed it out with some 3/4 inch maple to hide the edges of the plywood. So here you can see I'm putting pocket holes into the sides of where the faces for the drawers, and then also this island ended up being I think 108 inches long or something like that. And so if it was about 6 inches shorter, I wouldn't have to do this part. But so this is me making, I had to make each piece, so each shelf approximately 6 or 7 inches longer than what it could have been, because all the sheets only come 4x8, so I was kind of limited to the length. So I had to add to the end of them. And so each sheet, I went through and I put pocket holes on all the sides and the fronts. And so you'll see that I line up where the legs are going to be in another step. So here, because you have nothing else to connect to, so you want to make sure you get like 2 pocket holes where the legs are going to be, and then you can spread the other ones out, because later on this is where you're going to come back and attach the trim. You could just glue the trim on, but you know, it's a little better if you do it this way. So while I have a second, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, drop me a comment below of what you want to see next. I'm at a little bit over 700 subscribers, trying to get to 1,000. It's a small goal for me, but 1,000 subscribers is my goal. So please hit the subscribe button. So here I use the 2.5 inch pocket holes with a little bit of glue. The customer had sent me this design with some certain specs. So like one of them was they wanted the island to be 2 inches off the ground. So I had to mark off 2 inches off the ground. I had to center up the leg that goes in the middle. So I just like struck me a line, you know, halfway down the sheet of plywood, and then halfway down the leg itself. So, and then, you know, and then just 2 pocket holes in it, so 6 total. There's 2.5 inch pocket holes, 6 total there. You'll do the same for the other side as well. And this was probably one of the hardest parts, because that piece is so big and so awkward, and it's just really heavy for me to try to move around by myself. So I end up building it like it sits on its side, and then once I got it pretty stable enough that I could flip it up, I would come back and just, I think I flipped it up and down 4 or 5 times, just trying to get it, you know, trying to get it all together. And I also recommend to use an actual hammer, not your hand. I'm really bad about that. But anyway, so you want to make sure that these are exactly even, because the piece that I cut on the CNC machine, so the faces are already cut, so I know what those measurements have to be. So and then, so moving on to the next step. The next step, so I started with the sides. Like I said, I'm trying to get this thing stable enough that I could flip it up. So it's the same process as I just done with the bottom there, but, you know, a little bit of glue, and then I just use some pocket holes to attach those as well. So all this will be on the inside, and I also added some pocket holes going upwards, so that They told me that they're going to attach a butcher block top to it, so I just want to give the whoever connects it something to connect to if they wanted to use those. If not, it's fine. You'll never see them. But and so here, just to really give that middle some support, I just cut some 2-inch thick or 2 inches wide pieces of pine just to help support the bottom of that because I knew it was going to be heavy. I didn't want it to sag in the middle. So attach those. It doesn't really matter where those go. I just kind of chose a spot and put them. And then so this is the same step as the bottom. On the edges, I made sure that I left 3/4 room because I knew I was going to come back and put trim on the outskirts of the island. So I made sure all the way around that I just put me a little mark at 3/4 so that all that will be even in the end. And then once you get this part lined up, this part done, the other side is the exact same way. If this is something that you're going to build, if not, then this is probably one of those ones that I'm not going to put the measurements. I have everything on my CNC on my computer, all the cuts and numbers. So, what's these legs? I think these legs were ordered from it was Timber something. But they're solid maple, amazing legs. They look really good in person. And so that piece, that's the same way as you would do the two sides. And then I'll just lay the middle leg over, make sure I get it exactly in the middle so that my measurements are not off at a later step. And then once I get those attached, I make sure, like I said, trying to get these numbers even is absolutely crucial because, like I mentioned before, the faces, they're already cut. And so it's not something that I'm going to go back and measure and cut the faces. Like I said, everything I designed in the CNC machine, so everything's there. So I got to make sure everything's exactly where it needs to be. Bottom as well. So make sure everything is nice and straight. I think in the end, it all came out really, really well. Okay, and so once that step is done, I came back and I actually attached the faces. So you guessed it, more pocket holes here. And like I said, I mentioned that I had put some pocket holes that are facing upwards to later attach a top if that's the way they choose to do it. And so I attached the faces, offset those. I think it was 3/4 of an inch. I just run some really long pocket holes in the back, and that helps me attach all the faces. And so once I get all the faces attached, you can see my little helper is telling me what I need to do. And so it's time for the middle shelf. So this is another one of those that it has to be. They had certain requirements, 18 inches from the bottom to the top or something like that. So I knew going into it that it's almost in the middle, but I was trying to get all their specs right. And so this is a piece, it's pretty hard to get around because it's so big. But once I got that shelf in there, everything else was pretty easy. It's just getting everything lined up. I think I went through. I had already made the marks of where I needed to be. In cases like this, you could always cut if you have a scrap piece of wood, and lay it between the bottom shelf and where you want the middle shelf to be. just so you don't have to go around putting little marks and trying to get everything right. It's probably much easier just to cut you a piece of scrap wood and use that as the how far you want it to be separated. So once I got all of those done, it was time to go back and put the bottom shelf in. So once I got to this step, I was trying to hide as many pocket holes as I could. So I didn't want pocket holes to be showing because I know this island it's going in a very nice house. So the less pocket holes that I can show, the better off. So, and pretty much I just tapped me a hole from the bottom to attach those. And then, so I know this shelf that I'm working on here, so that will be facing down, so you'll never see any of those pocket holes. Same here. And so I didn't want to put screws to the side. So like I said, my goal is I don't want screw holes to show. I want this whole thing to look like it was whatever manufactured, and so once I get all of that done, so all those two shelves, that's the only thing they wanted there. I go back and I attach the bottom trim first. So all these trims go on the same way. Some of them are a little different. I just use some glue and some clamps on some of them. But this one, the whole bottom shelf has the pocket holes across the whole bottom of it. And so I just use some top bar and glue and pocket holes and attach all of that. So yeah, so that's the same on the other side as well. So from here, I'm building the drawers. So the drawers are always pretty simple. I just use cut everything with my CNC 1/2 inch birch, glue and nails, brad nails. I just get the bottom. Everything is 16-inch drawers because that's the slides that I use. And then so from there, I nail the bottom, get the two sides glued, nail the bottom in. I'll put whatever 3, 4, 5 screws across, or 5 nails in it, and then put the sides, the bottom, and then the back and the front. Pretty simple. Really never had an issue. Never had an issue with this coming apart. That glue holds very, very well. I wouldn't even have issue with not even using the glue. Then for the most part they would stay together. And then once you get, so once I got that part done, I go back and attach I had already had a number in my head of where the bottom of the slide needs to be. And so I come back, get me some screws out, and attach the side drawer rails, so that I can slide those in to the already attached the other side of it. There's a bunch of ways you can do this. I've seen people do it other ways. I've seen people use screws. I've seen people lay a piece of wood on and slide it in. And this is one of like 20 ways I could think of how to build a drawer. So this is the way I've always done them. So but going back a step, once you get you have to attach these first. So and then pull those out and attach them to the drawer. So I just set them on the bottom of that little runner piece that stretches from face to face, and then you slide your drawer in, and then you can pop your face on. So, and that's pretty much the video. Make sure everything's nice and even. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.